Hey guys, Boomfish TCG here, back at again with another video. This time, we're going to be changing things up and doing a version of Haven that I find incredibly interesting. And that just so happens to be what is called Zealot Haven. Um, Zealot is a card typing that has existed for quite a while, but there hasn't been any sort of dedicated support for it. Now, notably, in this deck, there is literally just one card that cares about zealotry. So, you might be thinking that's a little bit strange for you to base an entire deck around. Well, there's a lot stranger things people do these days, but I really like them. So, we're going to cover this, and yeah. If you are a crazy person, like myself, there is a way to create a massive amount of advantage and potentially create a very strong burn strategy, which I will go over. But for the first part, we're going to get into the one drops. So, the only one drop in this entire deck is this thing called Chamber of Cleansing. So, it creates 2 Fox Invitation tokens in your EX. So, you can bury this amulet after obviously creating 2 in your EX. And you can summon a Fox Invitation from your EX. And you can only activate this if you control a Zealot follower that costs 2 or more. Essentially, what this means is off of this card, if you need to, it can facilitate healing procs, which this deck cares about quite a bit, without you needing to do other stuff on top of that. So, interesting. It creates 2 0/1 wards that, when it comes out, heals you. That's pretty much what you care about. You have something that is easily accessible that, when it comes out, you get a healing proc, which is pretty nice, right? A lot of the times you might feel like perhaps that is very unsatisfying to get off of, right? It's a 1-cost card, and all you're doing is getting a 0/1. But when you get to appreciate the amount of synergy that this deck gets off of healing triggers and the potential of getting even more, there's really some solid legs here. Moving on, we're going to go to the 2 drops. So here we have Fox of Fortune, which also creates the same Fox Invitation token on entry. And then when you heal, you can tap this card. Naturally, that implies that this is once per turn, or once per both players' turns, because tapping only happens when, or untapping only happens when you get back to your own turn. But whenever you gain life, you tap this and draw a card, and it's a ward, so that's pretty nice. Realistically, I would have actually preferred it not saying ward, because, like, you would be able to protect it easier, and then you would have consistent draw power. But there's 2 reasons why you would run that, or why you would want it to say ward. First off, it gives it purpose and almost extra value out of warding. The hard part is after your first turn, you're actually losing out on damage, so it's a huge trade-off. But the other part, and probably the most important reason why it actually does say ward, is in order to synergize it with Lunarian Paladin, which, as I'll put it on the screen, its Evo specifically cares on if you summon successfully off of it something that has ward, you then heal for 2, which would also then, this would trigger in order to tap itself and draw, which is really solid synergy. You don't really get that much more out of what Lunarian provides. Obviously, there's other ways to take advantage of the summoning aspect of him, but this is about the best thing that can happen from gaining that 2 life off of his effect. Naturally, for some reason, this person who decided to build this Zealot list is not running Lunarian Paladin. You could not pay me enough money to tell you why that is a thing, but I guess it's fine. But that does sound like some pretty strong synergy. But yeah, Hard to say. Very hard to say. Moving on, we have Gilnally's Ravenous Craving. So this is a chase 2-drop of this set. Very good. It's just incredibly questionable on you spending the money you need to get this card and you playing this deck. It would be very funny, but yeah, that's a bit of a strange financial decision you've made. But again, the deck seems like it's very fun. It's a 2-mana 2/2, has no other effect outside of if you have 10 or less, it gets drained. That's nice, but not the reason you run it, but it can come up and help you out. The reason you run it is this is a 2-mana Evo for 1 that turns into on Evo. You can select something and give it -2 health and +2 attack, or you could put Ravenous Sweetness in your EX. So it's hard to say exactly what you're gonna do with this effect on average. Sometimes you'll get some decent removal out of it, just by, like, if you need to, right? I'm just going to cover all of the options here. So either you can play a little bit aggressively on your side, you can clear early aggression if you really need it, or the token is just standard, I'm playing a slow deck and I really want to get that token off because it's broken. You gain 2 life, you draw 2 cards, and your opponent discards 2 cards. And I think they also get pinged. I could be wrong, right? I'm putting it up on the screen for you guys. But that's crazy. Your opponent discards 2 cards. There are decks that are fast enough where they do not care by the time it hits turn 5. But it's rare. There's a reason why this token is so disgusting. But the biggest part of why that token ends up being very impactful is when you're playing, like, let's say, like Thief. Thief gets the opportunity to really abuse that token because Octris can discount it, but it's still fine. It's a decent payoff for being able to put out the card. The token's ridiculous, but you do have to make space for that to be useful for you on turn 5. I think this deck does that, but definitely keep that in mind. So good cards, right? Easy 3 of, easy 3 of, easy 3 of. We have Zhe. Less impactful considering there's no Lunarian in here, but still a really solid card. You lose 2 life, which, again, this is a life gain deck, so you really don't care about that happening. In order to pop something that has 2 or less cost, that's pretty good. And when you pull off the expensive Evo, you then get to pig the board for 3, and your opponent for 3, and you heal 3. That's pretty good. Being a 6/5 is really hard to say no to, but also the Evo costing 5 is kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, sometimes that's hard to justify. But in a pinch, that Evo, this effect of getting a board clear is very good. You might be able to stick a Zhe on the field on, let's say, turn 5. And during the past format, let's say Sekka went wide. Chances are that means they have a lot of little fellas that in most circumstances a more aggressive deck, like let's say Mydro Haven or Simple Aggro Haven, doesn't really have a good answer for. They don't really run board clears outside of this effect. Turn 5, doing this and then hitting them for 6 in the face, aka a 9 life swing, and you heal 3, so technically a 12 life swing, but 3 of that doesn't affect your opponent, feels incredible, but again, that is rare. So the fact that the person who made this list is running 2 of this Evo is kind of ridiculous. You could almost think that they didn't have a better idea to put in, but I can almost assure you they did. They just really didn't consider it. For instance, Lunarian Paladin, but I don't make the rules, I just show the deck. Moving on, we have Sarissa, Lux Flash Spear. This is a new card. It's really hard to say what the power level of this card is because it's a 2-mana 2/2. It's got Ward. If you have 3 cards on the field, it gets Storm. Fine. A 2-mana 2/2 Storm with Ward. It's not shaking anyone's boots, but okay. When it comes out, it gives something -1/-1. Okay. I gotta admit, it's a bit confusing why this is here, because I can guarantee you there are better ways to take advantage of Zealot synergy, because again, that matters. This is a fine card, but is almost a slot where you could say, why isn't Lunarian Paladin in this one? If you take a look at what we've covered so far, we're not taking advantage of a Storm strategy. So why do we have a 2-mana 2/2 that isn't a Zealot and Storms? This is strange. There's a lot of other ways to appreciate what this deck can do. I think this is an easy one to take out if you are not a fan of it like I am. I find this quite strange. But in like Ward, let's say, so Ward Haven, this is a high quality card. We're moving on to Servant of Repose, a very high quality Zealot card for what this deck wants. 2-mana 2/3, solid stats. And when you pass your turn over to your opponent, you get a guaranteed heal trigger. That is incredible. Your deck will take advantage of just simply having this lady stick around. And also, mind you, in your early turns, if you're up against aggressive stuff, previously, like let's say back in like set 6 or set 5, when this initially came out, purely playing this card early was enough to win most games against an aggressive deck. Obviously, the game's gotten a lot faster, but keep in mind that you're playing this card for a different reason than the fact that if it stays untouched for the first 3 turns, you heal 3 for a 2-drop. Very good. And then you take into consideration all of the synergies you have with it. This is a very high quality card for what your deck's trying to do. So very, very good. So now we move on to Winged Guardian. So 2-mana 2/2 puts a Fox invitation token into your EX. We can all collectively say, okay, that's not the reason we're playing this card. We're going to take a look at the Evo, and y'all are going to understand why I think this card is incredible. On Evo, you pick something and ping it for 2. Wow, okay, I'm already a fan. And then we have the bottom effect. Whenever you gain life, not once per turn, you ping each enemy leader for 1. Most decks that are looking for a burn win condition or a burn condition do not have it for as cheaply as what this card implies. 2 mana plus an Evo point gets you potentially, let's say, 5 burn damage on a turn. That's ridiculous. Yeah. This is why I think if you were to re-optimize what this person is inspiring, you can really take advantage of something so cheap. You could play this in Alana's Prayer, make this thing tougher. Let's say it's a 4/4. 4 might be hard to get rid of. Let's say it happens twice. We have a 5/5. Not only is our board getting stronger, we're pinging them in the face every time that happens. Think repair tokens. Think Dark Offering. Plenty of things that aren't in this list. Interesting. That's what I want to say. This has a lot of potential, because effectively this can cost 2 mana, and this could be your endgame right away. Interesting. We move on to Blackened Scripture. This is a Zealot card. That's it, right? Us Haven heads haven't been running Blackened Scripture in most of our lists for the longest time. But because this thing says Zealot, it has synergy with the deck. It's sometimes really valuable. Let's say someone plays a Sekka and you banish it. All right, we're in business. But we're in a different format, fellas. People are going to be summoning Sekkas a lot less. So you have to be able to get the value and the purpose out of this card. If the answer is no when you do that, you're going to feel pretty behind. Because sure, you're banishing something, but you just want to make sure that it's a high quality card you're getting rid of, so your opponent's mad that you did it. If you're doing it on a Demonium Punk in 2026, fellas, go home. The local's over. You didn't top. But outside of that, when you get a high value card, you're going to be quite happy. We're then going to take a look at Havenfire. Obviously, this has inherent synergy with Selena Sugarkiss. So this is a 2 mana, ping for 4 spell. If you have a Wasteland card in your EX, you ping them for 1. Chances are in this deck that's not going to be the case. And if you have the Selena, you can play it for 1. It's okay. A lot of Wasteland players were a big fan of playing this at 3. And considering this deck is kind of leaning into being slower, I have a tendency to agree. Maybe 3 is pretty good. But considering what Selena does, having a 4 mana 2/2 that hits them in the face for 2, and then kills something for 4, that is mediocre, right? There are sword cards that effectively do that off of 1 card, and you don't even have to swing at them. And, like, that's fine enough by itself. But, yeah, it's okay. We're running it at 3 because we're playing the card, and we're going to take advantage of the removal because we're going to stay alive longer. It's a fine card. And it also has Zealot. Very important. We're going to skip over the 1-drop and then talk about the fella, the man of the hour, Impious Bishop. Ladies and gentlemen, this fella's in the building, and he is pretty good. Pretty good. Impious Bishop. So he's a 4 mana, 2/4 ward. That's not good enough. We gotta talk. Take a look at the top 5 cards. You may find a Zealot card that costs 2 or less. It now costs 2 less, so it's free. The rest go on the bottom. Now we're talking. We're in the right business. But that's okay. Once per turn, when your leader gains 1 health, or any health, any amount, just when you gain health, you select something and deal it 4. Now we are in business. That's a good effect. That's incredibly high quality. Like, is this the end of the world? No. But remember what I said about repair mode tokens. Folks, this says once per turn, not once per your turn. Shadowverse is a big fan of that kind of card text. Once per turn. Repair mode token. On your opponent's turn, ping for 4. Do something on your turn, ping for 4. I think we're getting somewhere. Obviously, you could hit this guy off of Wilbert, and I'm already kind of considering that as an idea. But that might be leaning a little bit too far, because naturally Wilbert doesn't really support this super hard. But, yeah. I like this guy. And this is the reason I want to talk about this, because that's not a bad card in the slightest. It sucks that you're taking a look at the top 5 in order to grab 1 when Sugar Kiss can grab 2. But 5 is more than 4, and having this healing effect attached to him is really, really cool. Again, if we have Alana's Prayer on the field, this guy might be causing some problems. Obviously, the deck's not running that, but I want to put the idea in your heads. We have something we can work with here, people. Moving on, we have Marwyn. He went on Ozempic, and he got ripped. We have a 4 mana 4/4 ward. Again, he's got ward. People, there's something there. If there's 3 followers on your opponent's field, you can put Torrent of Despair token in your EX area. Nice, I'll put it up for you. At the start of your opponent's main phase, give your leader +2 health. More healing. Interesting. I wonder what else he does. We go over to his Evo, which is a bit expensive, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit expensive. Destroy each other follower on the field. So he clears all of your stuff too, but whatever. You clear the board. At the start of your opponent's main phase, you heal 2. So he keeps that effect. He doesn't lose it. I don't know. There might be some Haven haters saying that this is really, really broken. I don't think so. He's solid. Uh, yeah, because most of the time you're playing this early game, and I don't know, maybe you're not supposed to. He's just gonna sit there and heal you a little bit, and you're gonna be happy about it. But and sometimes you're gonna get the token, which is basically 0 mana banish something, which is good, or destroy, one of the two. But yeah, he's just okay. Um, he might be Zealot, but this part of the Zealot synergy serves your deck no purpose. You don't care about it when a Zealot card is higher than 2 cost, but the healing is nice. It's just this guy's build doesn't really abuse the healing as much as you could. It's just simply present. Now we have Sugar Kiss, so we have a lot of 4 drops, but they're all pretty powerful. So comes out, it's got Storm. You take a look at the top 4. You grab a Wasteland card and a follower that costs 2 or less, and put them into your EX area. And when this thing swings, you gain 2 play points back. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, he's really strong. We're not running that many Wasteland cards, so chances are you're not actually going to get 2 cards off of this, but we all know, and you can experience it, right? Like if you were at your locals and you had a Sugar Kiss end up hitting itself off of its own effect, that's crazy. All right, the guy will always smile when that happens, because doing this 2 turns in a row, looking at the top 8 cards of your deck, is pretty broken. Moving on, we have White Fang Temple. Again, this deck doesn't really abuse this as much as you could, but the reason this is here is because on each end phase, this heals you. So if you got the Winged Gatekeeper, this is continuous damage triggers. Again, there's no Alana's Prayer here. The Zealot, the Bishop, this is probably the best way to abuse it, because on your end phase, the Amulet will heal you, and then potentially off of whatever you summoned for this guy, then your opponent's turn will also heal, so you're then dealing a total of 8 damage to the board off of 2 targets. That's really strong. Now we have something to talk about. So, yeah, a lot of other decks would have something that they would like to summon. So we're looking for a Faith Follower that costs 4 or less. Let's take a look. Nope. Oh ho! Wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen. We can get Sugar Kiss for free? There's no way. What on earth? What? Wait a minute, that's incredible. I did not know this. Wow, that's really, really good. Oh my god, from the deck for free. You you get to play a card off of this. Oh my god, that's disgusting. Holy, oh my god, I'm freaking out. That's incredible. Oh my god, that's so good. I'm telling you right now, there's so much potential with this deck. I'm just jumping for joy. That's insane. And then we have the Fracture. I'm gonna be honest. I do not think this should be here. I think there's so much more potential than just praying to God you can mill them out. One of these isn't enough. Yeah, I just think you should be building the deck different. I'm seeing so much cool stuff in here. If for some reason this were to win you the game, sure, right? Like, nice, you have a Fracture in your deck. Okay, your opponent played slow enough that you were able to win off of this. But as far as I've seen, there's pretty much not a single card that you actually want to get rid of, because you're going to be maintaining a decent amount of advantage unless they're clearing your board. And if they're clearing your board, this is the only thing that's going to win you the game, I guess. Your deck doesn't... The way that this person built their deck, it does not have outward win conditions where eventually you're going to make a big body or make a big push on the board. It's simply just healing, getting a little bits of advantage, and consistently clearing your opponent's board. So, significantly, that's why the Gilnalese token is here, because that gives you purpose. You can discard your opponent's hand. You eventually maintain a very high life lead against them. But outside of that, like, I guess I just explained a reason for Fracture to exist in this list. But it just bugs me because this is here and there's purpose. He kind of like built this to where Gilnalese and Fracture are what his end game eventually is. But I have a lot of confidence in the fact that you probably can just do the opposite. I think you'll have decent success. If we're talking about Evo deck ratios, I don't know if this should be at 2. I definitely think this should be at 3. Sure, whatever. You could run this at 3. Are you evoing Gilnalese 3 times in one game? I don't know. That seems a bit excessive. Are you evoing Marwyn 3 times in a game? I couldn't even begin to explain that to you. I think that's kind of crazy, realistically. I think if you really wanted to, if you wanted to fit in the Lunarian Paladin, because there's the synergy here, you could easily cut this down to 2, cut this down to 1. That's 2 Lunarian Paladin evos, and that's the standard. And you could probably cut this down to 2 and run 3 of this. I think all of that's very nice. But I've kind of rambled on quite a bit. I like this deck. In the build that I'm staring at right now is a 3 out of 5. There's a chance where you might be able to get 4 out of 5 out of this if you really made something. But yeah, you'd have to put in the legwork, and I'm not sure if this guy did. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give this 3 out of 5. That's 3 boomfish out of 5. It was lovely seeing you. And hope to see you next time. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you around town.
Hooray! Hooray!